trade deadline today, 3 p.m. So Pony and Muller will be on the air. There's a lot of smoke around Rickard Rakell. Josh Yohe wrote there's a ton of teams interested, and the Penguins are asking for a king's ransom. And that it's not maybe what we thought. That it doesn't necessarily need to be a first-round pick, but they're looking for potentially high-end prospects or good young NHL players. So they'd be happy with a first-round pick, but they're also right now asking for high-end prospects, young, talented NHL players. All right, here's the trade that happened last night, though, that just you cannot hold on to Rakell, in my opinion. So Brock Nelson gets traded from the Islanders. The Penguins fans are very familiar with this guy. He's been a thorn in their side forever. So the Islanders trade Brock Nelson and a throw-in guy who's played one career NHL game. And the Islanders got back a first and a third-round pick and a couple of prospects. Like, it is such a seller's market right now.
Yeah.
And I think you can turn this thing around kind of quickly. We've talked about that the last few days. And it's one of the reasons why you and Mackie have said, man, Rakell's $5 million, scored 29 goals this year, probably going to score 40 goals this year. Like, he's a piece you could actually wind up building around. The reason why I would move him if they're asking for good young players and prospects is if you can get 4 or 5 guys, and maybe that's too much, if you get 2 or 3 guys that are all good and young and cost effective that now help build out your roster, that would actually be the best of both worlds then, wouldn't it? Like, you've got a bunch of draft picks now these next 3 years. 15 in the top 3 rounds the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be a first-round pick. Would love it. Doesn't have to be a first-round pick. If you get good, young, NHL-ready players who can come in here and be infused into the lineup and give the team a little bit of punch, that might be the best-case scenario. And it sounds like that's what they're asking for, at least according to tremendous hockey writer Josh Yohe.
Do you think they get it done? Do you think that they pull off the trade regardless? Like, even if they don't get their king's ransom that they want, do you think that Rakell will be gone by the end of the day?
I'd like to think yes. I think yes. I'm still trying to get the book on Dubas, you know. But when
if they're inquiring about,
if there's that many teams who are lining up,
guy, you gotta take one.
You gotta do it now. Right. And I realize that you could still, and this has been one of the talking points too, you could still trade him this offseason. But to me, this is desperation zone, man. And I think the league is fairly wide open right now. And so a lot of teams probably convincing themselves that they could actually win multiple rounds and maybe contend for this thing. We know it's kind of a crapshoot at times in the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. I think if you push it to the offseason, you're going to have the player for less time. So one fewer stretch run if you're the team acquiring him. And everyone they take their reality pills and you breathe a little bit and you're thinking all kind of big picture stuff. Right now you're thinking, let's win some damn games in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I bet you he's gone. I don't think Karlsson's going to be gone. Yohe reported that there's interest, obviously, in Karlsson, but he has still yet to be asked to move his no-move clause. And, I mean...
You're not going to do that right now, are you?
You're not going to do that the day of the deadline.
Right.
Like, that should be a thing that he does at the beginning, like, right at the beginning of the year. Like, hey, we'd like to keep you. We think we're going to contend for a playoff spot. If we don't, go to all your guys. Submit a list of teams you'd be okay being traded to at the beginning of the year.
I don't know about that. No, you can't do that because it's going to mess up your psyche. As a player.
You know what it is,
I'm on the
Dorin?
chopping block, no matter what.
You know what it is, man? You're watching Love Is Blind, right?
No, but you're telling me about it, so I'm following it through you.
There's this smoking hot chick who's dating this basketball coach who seems like a really nice guy. I guess I don't need to give this many details, but they seem like desperately in love, and they're really cute together. And then she comes in like 2 weeks before the wedding, and she's like, I need you to sign a prenup. And my man's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you think we're going to get divorced?
Right.
Totally screwed his psyche.
Yes.
That's what that kind of feels like to me. You're right.
Yeah.
But, 2 weeks ago, you could do that.
Right.
3 weeks ago, like right around the 4 Nations.
Yeah, approaching today.
Yes.
Like within the week or two, like it's like, okay, we know where we're at. You know where you're at. You know what we're trying to accomplish here as a franchise, as a hockey club. Would you be willing? Like, I would start it like if we knew that we were out of it.
Right. Right. Beginning of the
Everybody
season,
knows.
hope springs eternal. You're right. That's
Right.
probably a bad idea by me. Good thing I'm not the general manager. But, like, it's probably unlikely to happen today. Like, hey, Carlson, Utah called up. They put a great deal in place. Would you want to go to Utah? No. Well, then why'd I spend all that time talking to Utah? I just don't think that's happening.
Unless it was a team like you knew that like he would want to.
like Tampa or something.
Right.
Or the Panthers.
Yes. It's like, hey, we got a call from Florida. Like, you want to go win?
TK said yesterday he thinks that Carlson wants to go to a place, if he would go someplace where he can be in warm weather, golf all the time, and sort of coast the end of his career.
Yep.
Texter, if Brock freaking Nelson is worth a first and a third, Rakell can get a first and a top prospect. That's kind of what I'm thinking, too. Now, Brock Nelson, he's got the whole leadership thing. He plays hard-nosed. People think of him as a winner. Those Islanders teams, they advance far in the playoffs. Like, I get all that. But, like, the tangible is he's got 20 goals this year. This dude, Rakell's got 29 goals and is affordable the next few years.